In a quaint flower shop nestled on the corner of a busy street, Jerome Hine walks in, his hands stuffed deep into the pockets of his worn-out jacket. A soft chime announces his arrival, but no one looks his way. Jerome isn't the kind of man people notice. A quiet figure, carrying the weight of life's struggles with quiet dignity. His goal today is simple: to buy a small bouquet for his mother, who hasn't been feeling well lately. Where are you watching this video from? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. He scans the rows of colorful flowers, carefully counting the money in his pocket. Every dollar counts, and Jerome knows he can't afford anything fancy. His hands hover over the roses for a moment before reluctantly moving to the more modest daisies. It's the thought that counts, he reminds himself. As Jerome stands in line, an elderly white woman, her back slightly hunched, fumbles with a few heavy shopping bags. Evelyn, dressed in a simple coat that has seen better days, struggles to juggle her items while reaching for her purse. No one seems to notice her distress. People are too busy in their own worlds. Jerome watches her for a moment. Something tugs at his heart. He knows what it feels like to be invisible. Without a second thought, he sets down his flowers, walks over to Evelyn, and gently relieves her of one of the bags. "Here, ma'am, let me help you," Jerome offers kindly. Evelyn looks up, surprised. Her pale blue eyes flicker with gratitude, softened by age. "Oh, you're too kind, young man," she says with a smile. "People don't do this sort of thing much anymore." Jerome shrugs modestly, as if it's the most natural thing in the world. It's nothing, just trying to brighten someone's day. Then, on a sudden impulse, he turns back to the counter. The daisies, too humble for his mother, suddenly seem perfect for Evelyn. He picks them up, pays for the bouquet, and holds it out to her with a sheepish grin. "These are for you," Jerome says, the bouquet extended in his hand. "Just a little something to make you smile today." Evelyn's eyes widen with disbelief. For a moment, she's speechless. "You didn't have to," Jerome cuts her off gently. "It's no big deal. You deserve something nice too." The weight of her shopping bag suddenly seems lighter, and a smile spreads across her face. A rare, genuine expression of joy. "You've truly made my day," Evelyn whispers. Jerome nods, giving her a kind smile. "Take care of yourself, ma'am." With that, he turns to leave, thinking nothing more of the encounter. To him, it was just a moment of kindness. Nothing special. Just one person helping another. But to Evelyn, it was more than that. Much more. A few days later, Jerome sits at his small kitchen table, surrounded by bills and rejection letters. The ticking of the clock on the wall feels louder with each passing second. The job market has not been kind, and Jerome is starting to lose hope. His phone buzzes suddenly, cutting through the silence. He picks it up, expecting another rejection, maybe from the company he had recently interviewed with, the one he thought he had no chance with. "Hello, is this Mr. Jerome Parker?" the voice on the other end asks. "Yes, speaking," Jerome replies, keeping his tone polite but guarded. "This is Susan from Riverside Enterprises. I wanted to personally congratulate you. You've been selected for the management position you interviewed for. We'd love for you to join the team." For a moment, Jerome sits in stunned silence. His mind races. This can't be right. Out of all the candidates, many of whom had far better qualifications, they chose him? I don't understand," Jerome stammers. "Are you sure? I didn't think—" The voice on the other end chuckles warmly. "Yes, we're sure, Mr. Parker. In fact, our CEO personally reviewed your application and recommended you for the role." Jerome blinks in disbelief. The CEO personally? That didn't make sense. Why would someone at the top of such a large corporation take a personal interest in him? "Your orientation starts on Monday," the woman continues cheerfully. "We'll see you then." Jerome barely manages to mumble a thank you before the call disconnects. He stares at the phone in his hand, his heart pounding in his chest. What just happened? He leans back in his chair, running a hand over his face. This job could change everything. No more juggling part-time gigs, no more late rent notices. This was the opportunity he had been waiting for. Still, the question lingers in his mind. Why would the CEO take a personal interest in him? What had made him stand out from the other applicants? As Monday draws nearer, Jerome prepares himself for the new chapter ahead, determined to make the most of this unexpected opportunity. Little does he know, the real surprise is yet to come. Monday morning arrives, and Jerome steps into the towering glass building of Riverside Enterprises. Dressed in his only decent suit, a bit frayed at the seams but neatly pressed, he feels a mix of excitement and nervousness bubbling within him. This is a new beginning, a chance to leave behind the struggles he has endured. The polished floors reflect the sunlight streaming through the floor-to-ceiling windows, and as he walks to the elevator, he can't help but feel a bit out of place among the neatly dressed executives bustling through the lobby. Here goes nothing, Jerome mutters under his breath as the elevator doors close behind him. He rides to the top floor where he's told he will meet the CEO and receive his formal welcome. As he steps off the elevator, the nervous energy sharpens. Everything about this place radiates elegance, from the quiet hum of productivity to the expensive art lining the walls. A receptionist greets him with a polite smile. "Mr. Parker, the CEO is expecting you. Right this way, please." Jerome follows, his heart hammering in his chest, still wondering why he was chosen for this position. The receptionist opens the door to a large sunlit office, and there, standing by the window with the same gentle smile that he remembers from the flower shop, is Evelyn. For a moment, time seems to stop. Jerome blinks, his mind scrambling to connect the dots. It's her, the elderly woman from the flower shop, the one he had given flowers to just a few days ago. "Welcome, Mr. Parker," Evelyn says warmly, her voice as kind as he remembers. Jerome stands frozen in the doorway, his eyes wide with disbelief. I don't understand, Evelyn's smile widens. "I am Evelyn Harper, CEO of Riverside Enterprises. And yes, I believe we've met before." Jerome stares in stunned silence, trying to process what's happening. How could the woman he thought was just a random elderly stranger be the head of one of the most influential companies in the city? "You see," Evelyn continues, walking slowly to her desk, "I've built this company on more than just business skills. I've built it on character, integrity, and empathy. I believe those qualities are just as important in a leader as any degree or resume." Jerome shifts uneasily, feeling a wave of confusion and embarrassment wash over him. "But I didn't know who you were. I was just trying to be nice." "And that," Evelyn says softly, "is exactly why I chose you." Jerome's breath catches in his throat. Of all the candidates she could have chosen, she chose him, not because of his qualifications, but because of a simple act of kindness. "Many people think kindness is a small thing, but it's not," Evelyn continues. "It tells me everything I need to know about someone's character. You gave me flowers without expecting anything in return. That told me you have the heart to lead." Jerome shakes his head, overwhelmed by the gravity of her words. This job was not just a stroke of luck. It was a reward for who he was at his core. "I never imagined something like this would happen," Jerome admits quietly. Evelyn's expression softens further. "Life has a way of surprising us. Sometimes the smallest gestures create the biggest opportunities. You taught me that day that kindness still exists, and that it belongs in the heart of this company." Jerome swallows the lump in his throat, struggling to contain the emotions swirling within him. He feels both humbled and grateful, realizing that the moment in the flower shop was more than just a fleeting encounter. It was a turning point in both their lives. "Thank you," Jerome says, his voice thick with emotion. "Thank you for believing in me." Evelyn smiles warmly. "I believe in people, Jerome. And I believe that leaders like you can make a difference, not just in business, but in the world. Now let's get you started on your new journey." Jerome sits down across from her, still trying to wrap his mind around the serendipity of it all. The woman he thought he was helping had, in turn, helped him in a way he could never have imagined. Over the next few weeks, Jerome immerses himself in his new role. The transition isn't easy. He has never held a position of this magnitude before, and the demands of leadership weigh heavily on him. But every time self-doubt creeps in, he remembers Evelyn's words, "I chose you for your heart." Determined to rise to the occasion, Jerome throws himself into his work. His team members are surprised by his humble leadership style, a refreshing change from the typical corporate tone they were used to. He listens attentively, asks questions, and treats everyone with respect, from the janitors to the top-level executives. Despite the challenges, Jerome finds that his kindness becomes his greatest asset. In meetings, he prioritizes the well-being of the staff, advocating for policies that support their personal growth and work-life balance. Slowly but surely, his team starts to thrive under his leadership. Meanwhile, Jerome begins to understand the immense privilege he now holds. From his position, he sees how power and wealth can easily create a disconnect between people. He reflects on how easily he might have overlooked someone like Evelyn, if their encounter had been reversed, if she had approached him for help as just a stranger in the street. These realizations deepen his resolve to lead not with ambition, but with empathy and gratitude. He finds himself reflecting on his journey, from the man struggling to make ends meet, to a leader shaping the future of a company. And through it all, he understands now, more than ever, that his small act of kindness was not a fluke but a defining moment in his life. Still, Jerome knows he owes Evelyn more than just professional success. He needs to tell her how much that moment in the flower shop has changed him, not just as a leader, but as a person. Late one evening, after most of the office is emptied, Jerome knocks gently on Evelyn's door. She's sitting at her desk, reading over some papers, but looks up with a warm smile when she sees him. "Jerome," she greets him. "What brings you here at this hour?" Jerome shifts awkwardly, searching for the right words. I wanted to thank you. Not just for the job, but for everything. That day in the flower shop." Evelyn waves him off lightly, her eyes twinkling. "You don't owe me any thanks. I just recognized something in you that was already there." "No," Jerome insists, his voice quiet but earnest. "I mean it. That moment, it changed the way I see everything. I realize now how easy it is to miss the people right in front of you, just because you think they don't matter. I used to think that life was all about pushing through and surviving. But now I see. It's about connection. It's about kindness." Evelyn leans back in her chair, a soft, satisfied smile spreading across her face. "You've learned the most important lesson there is, Jerome. We can't change the world all at once, but we can change the way we treat the people in it. And that, in turn, changes everything." Jerome feels the weight of those words settle over him. This job, this opportunity, it wasn't just a career move. It was a lesson in how to be human. "I'll never forget that day," Jerome says, his voice full of gratitude. "It was just flowers, just a small moment, but it made all the difference, for both of us." Evelyn nods. Life has a funny way of working, doesn't it? They sit in comfortable silence for a moment, both reflecting on the unexpected journey that brought them here. What started as a chance encounter became a story of transformation, of kindness that rippled into something far greater than either of them could have imagined. As Jerome rises to leave, Evelyn offers him a final piece of advice. "Remember, Jerome, leadership is not about status or power. It's about service. Keep leading with your heart, and you'll go farther than you ever thought possible." Jerome smiles, deeply moved by her words. "I will," he promises softly, and this time, he knows he means it. As the months pass, Jerome fully steps into his role, transforming not only the way his department functions, but also inspiring a cultural shift within the company. Under his leadership, Riverside Enterprises starts placing more emphasis on community outreach, employee well-being, and mentorship programs for underprivileged youth. One of Jerome's first initiatives is to launch a program that provides career development opportunities for people struggling with unemployment, individuals just like he had been. He partners with local shelters and community organizations, offering training, internships, and permanent positions at Riverside Enterprises. His team notices that Jerome's leadership style feels different. It's rooted in compassion and service rather than control. And inspired by his example, many others within the company begin following his lead. They start treating colleagues and staff with greater respect, making time to connect with people who might have otherwise been ignored. Meanwhile, Evelyn steps back from the day-to-day operations, taking a more advisory role. She enjoys watching Jerome grow, knowing she made the right choice by placing her faith in him. They become close, not just as colleagues but as friends, two people from vastly different worlds, united by the belief that kindness and empathy can change lives. Jerome also becomes a mentor to younger employees, sharing his own journey openly to inspire them. He makes it a point to emphasize that success isn't just about where you end up. It's about who you become along the way. Through this, Jerome starts to build a legacy of his own, one based on connection, empathy, and respect. Several months later, Riverside Enterprises holds a grand celebration at the company's headquarters. It's a night to honor the employees and leaders who have made a difference throughout the year. The event is glamorous. Executives, employees, and even community members fill the hall. Jerome, though never one for the spotlight, finds himself standing at the edge of the room, observing quietly. As the night unfolds, Evelyn takes the stage. In her speech, she reflects on the journey the company has been on and how important it is to foster an environment where kindness and integrity thrive. Then, turning toward the audience, she shares Jerome's story, though without naming him directly. "I once met a man," Evelyn begins, her voice calm and reflective. "A man who had no reason to give me anything, but he gave me flowers. He had no idea who I was, and yet his kindness was pure. That small gesture spoke volumes, and it changed everything, not just for me, but for him too." Jerome, standing in the back of the room, feels his heart swell with emotion. The crowd listens intently, unaware that the story is about the man quietly standing among them. It isn't about recognition. It never was. It's about the lesson behind the gesture, the idea that the smallest acts of kindness can ripple into life-changing opportunities. After Evelyn's speech, the crowd erupts in applause. But Jerome stays in the background, reflecting on how far he has come. He knows now that the real wealth in life isn't found in titles or salaries, but in the connections we build and the people we touch. As the event winds down, Jerome steps outside into the cool night air. Evelyn joins him, a serene smile on her face. They stand together, looking up at the stars in comfortable silence. "You've come a long way," Evelyn says softly. Jerome smiles, gratitude filling his heart. "I couldn't have done it without you." Evelyn shakes her head, her gaze still on the stars. "You've always had it in you, Jerome. I just gave you the chance to see it for yourself." As they stand side by side under the night sky, Jerome realizes that his journey is only beginning. The lessons he's learned, from a bouquet of flowers to leading with empathy, will stay with him forever. And just as Evelyn gave him an opportunity, he's committed to passing that same kindness forward. Because in the end, it wasn't the title, the salary, or the position that mattered. It was the journey and the people he met along the way that made him truly rich.